Hi, my name's Carissa, but I write under the name J.M. Hollis. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another top-down video because I cleaned my bookshelves yesterday, or rather, I cleaned a bookshelf out in the living room to cull some books and things like that. And I realized that I had this book and I had thought it was for a young adult book, like writing a young adult novel. And so I ignored it and was like, oh, I'm not writing young adult, I don't need it. And so I just kind of forgot about it. But when I was cleaning the bookshelf and taking everything off and dusting, I realized that it's writing your novel, start to finish, not a young adult novel. I think there's one similar that's young adult focused, but this one is just novel in general. It's by Joseph Bates, and I haven't flipped through too much of it to like actually read it yet. I do plan on doing some of that today, but what intrigued me was that there are worksheets that are a part of this, and you can get them online. So I will leave a link in the description to the website to where you can get all the worksheets. There's like, how many does it say? 27? Yeah, 27 worksheets that you can do to help you with your story. I found this one that's about cliches, and it got me thinking about how when I'm drafting, because I'm still in my first draft, I reuse a lot of the same phrases, and I went into Scrivener to try to find out what phrases I use the most, but unfortunately, it just gives you words individual, and it's not as helpful as I was hoping it would be. So I'll have to catch it upon reread and to know exactly how it's phrased to be able to search and see how many times it shows up. But I just know that I reuse things because like I've caught myself while I'm writing being like, oh, I think I've said this before. And so these familiar phrases, these cliches, are things that we tend to write in our first draft and then we catch them in our second draft. But I thought it would be cool to kind of go through this one. It gives 4 different cliches and has you break down what does it mean, what are the details, the senses, and then what it is rewritten, or how you could rewrite it rather. And so I thought that would be a fun little exercise to do just as like a warm up before I get into like drafting today. So the first one says the crowd roared. So when the crowd is roaring, that means they're very loud. For details, it usually means that they're cheering, though I guess it could be like roaring in anger, but usually it's because they're cheering, they're boastful, they are loud. And then it has the senses. So another detail I would put is excited. And so it says taste, touch, sight, sound, smell. And I'm going to be using this book right here, The Emotion Thesaurus, that I checked out from the library way back ago. Don't worry, it's not late. I've renewed it because it's so helpful. But I'm going to use this to help me because what I love about this, we'll just go to a random page, is that it has physical signs and behaviors, internal sensations, mental responses, long-term responses, signs that it's being suppressed, and then what it can escalate to, de-escalate to, and associated power verbs. So this is super helpful, and I plan on getting an actual copy for myself. But I want to see what it says for excited, because when we say the crowd roared, usually it's because you're at some sort of event or some sort of something is going on where people are super excited. So the definition of excitement is the state of being energized or stimulated and provoked to act. So some physical signs that it lists, you might have eyes that sparkle and gleam, bouncing from foot to foot, squealing, hooting, yelling, laughing. You might have a ruddy complexion, so you might be flushed, having a throaty laughter, your body's constantly in motion, making eye contact with others, displaying affection. So, especially like with the cheering, the displaying affection with friends or loved ones. Like, I just imagine, because I'm writing a soccer romance, like a soccer game, and like they score the game winning goal, and you like hug the person that's next to you and like cheer and yell and jump around. Some internal sensations are a lightness in the chest, a fast pulse, feeling like one's insides are vibrating, dry mouth, heightened senses, breathlessness, and feeling energized and awake due to adrenaline rush. And mental responses has camaraderie with others and enjoyment of the communal energy. So, for taste, the crowd is roaring. I guess you could like be metaphorical and say like you taste the wind. But that's more so like when you're really close to the wind, where you're like, I can practically taste it. Like, that's kind of when you would use that. So I'm going to skip taste. Touch, I'm going to, there's not a whole lot of room, so I'm going to put grab others. Sight, I'm going with my soccer example, knowing what happens when we win a game or even when we get a goal. There's smoke, there is confetti. Okay, sound, they always play music. They play all of the lights whenever the team scores a goal. And they also play Vegas lights at the end of the games. So we're going to do music. And then smell. You can smell the smoke. You might smell sweat because it's hot in Vegas. All right. So I'm going to pause to think about a sentence and rewrite it. Because I don't want to bore you by me sitting here in silence agonizing over what to write. So I'm going to pause, write my sentence, and then come back and we can look at it. Okay, so as you can see, we are back, and my sentence is far longer than the crowd roared, but this is just what I came up with within a few minutes. If I was to line edit this, I'd probably change a few things, but I wrote, the crowd was a mess of tangled limbs and tight embraces, the sound of their excitement rivaling that of the celebratory music blasting over the stadium speakers. So it gives you a little bit more of a visual than the crowd just being loud, but it also conveys that the crowd is loud. The next one says she was screaming her head off, so this means that someone, a she, is like nonstop screaming. Now for details, I guess I'm gonna put like why, like reasons that or things you could be feeling that could cause you to scream your head off. So it could be excitement, it could be fear, could be anger. So I'll stick with those three things: excitement, fear, and anger. So I'm going to go for this example. I'm going to stick with excitement because I want to kind of like at least try to make a another sentence that connects with the one that I just did. So I'm going to circle in excitement just so I know which one I'm picking. So for taste, it says when you are excited, you can have a dry mouth. So I'm going to put dry mouth because if you're screaming a lot, like your mouth might get dry anyway, and your throat. Okay, touch. If you're screaming your head off, you might be clenching your fists, like like having them pumped up in the air, but like you're feeling your own hands because your fists are clenched. Sight, we can go back since we're using that first example, the smoke and confetti. You might hear other people cheering, the music, and then you might smell the smoke and the sweat. So I'm going to try to come up with a sentence that goes with that first one, and then I will be right back. Okay, so as you can see, I crossed out a lot of things because I didn't know where I was going before I started writing, and then I got ideas and whatever. So what I ended up with is cotton-mouthed and breathless. Her ears rang with the sounds of her own cheers. Her throat, scratchy and sore from her excitement, protested every whoop and squeal. I think if I was to redo this, not redo, but like to line edit it later, I would want a different word for like her own cheers. Like I would want to fix that to something a little more, if that makes sense. And then down here, I feel like I would want to add one more thing, like whoop, squeal, and shout. Like, I don't know. I feel like whoop and squeal feels incomplete to me personally, but I also, like I said, am an overwriter. So maybe it's fine as it is. I don't know. Y'all can tell me in the comments. I'm actually going to stop here because I don't want the video to be super long. And I think like we get the point. But what I would love, one, in the comments, let me know what you thought of these sentences. And two, let me know what you thought of this tool. Is it something that, because I'll share the worksheet, but it's something you could easily create on a piece of paper, handwritten, or you could create it in Word or Google Docs or on a slide, any of that. Because it literally is just cliche, meaning detail, senses rewritten. And you can put in your own cliches that you find yourself using. So let me know if this tool seems helpful, if it's something that you would use. Also, I'm going to give you a little bit of a homework assignment. And by homework, I mean like you can do it if you want or not, obviously. But I felt my stomach drop is the last one. And I would love to read your versions down below. So, your versions of I felt my stomach drop. How would you rewrite that if it was your story? If you like the video, please like the video. If you want to stick around for more writing content and my writing journey, please subscribe. And yeah, like I said, leave comments down below what you thought of the sentences, what you think of the tool. And then if you're feeling brave, how would you rewrite the sentence, I felt my stomach drop? Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.